I am not saying there's anything going on with Eli Manning. I don't know that there is an iota of anything going on with Eli Manning. I do know this from someone I know very well. Jacksonville is exploring veteran quarterbacks. That I do know. I am not saying it has anything to do with Eli Manning. I am not saying that they could even get him in under the cap. I'm not saying they are considering Eli Manning. I'm not saying that for 1 second. So remember what I just said. What I said is that they are exploring veteran quarterbacks. Paul in Orange, Connecticut. What's up, Paul?
Mike, how you doing?
What's happening?
I am a very disgruntled Cowboy fan.
Tough loss. Very tough loss.
It's a tough loss.
Kick would have been good. It would have been good from 47.
Yeah, but
you know what happens.
Well, listen. Here's my question. Number one, and let me talk about Amari Cooper real quick. Amari Cooper, I think the Raiders fleeced the Cowboys just now because
they just did fleece.
You give up a first-round pick.
Never been that good a player.
You're committed to invest money now. You're going to pay him
he's never
probably
been that good a player. He's been an underachieving player his whole career, and I would not have given up higher than a 2 for him tops, and I would have been grudgingly to give up a high 2 for him. I
agree,
up
but
a 1 for him.
Here's the problem now. And the problem is you're going to commit to now giving him anywhere from $12 to $15 million, and now you got the likes of Byron Jones, who's a stud out there. You might have wanted maybe to pursue Earl Thomas. You've got.
Listen, you don't have to throw bad after good. Let him see what he does as a player first. But they gave up a 1 for him, and that was overpaying. Case closed. They overpaid for him. Gruden just scored. Now Gruden's going to sell the owner because Gruden's job right now is not anybody else in that building except the owner. And his job to the owner is, listen, take a deep breath, worry about where you're headed with in the future, worry about where the Raiders are going, and I will produce the team when we get there. But we're going to rebuild this sucker completely, and that's where he is. He's gotten rid of the best player in Mac. He's going to get rid of the quarterback. You can take it to the bank, and he just got rid of, and he'll trade anyone else he can for a draft pick. So everybody's for sale right now. Rick joins us. What's up, Rick?
Hey, Mike. How you doing? Before I even ask my question, I just want to, again, thank you for coming back. Don't ever regret coming back.
Well, let's not make it about me. Make it about sports.
All right. I was going to say something else, but we're seeing that prompt with Amari Cooper going to the Cowboys. I have a question. Do you think Derek Carr will go to possibly Jacksonville now?
I think that trade. I think that trade is difficult in season. I think trading him is going to be difficult in season, but I do think his days are numbered with the Raiders. I think though, one thing to remember is trades in season are becoming more plentiful because of the fact that there are so many disgruntled players with big contracts. That's the biggest reason. But trading contracts in the NFL is very tricky. And trading players in the NFL is very tricky. It usually doesn't happen a lot. You're getting a little more of it, but I don't expect there to be wholesale, moving of players. Gerard in Englishtown.
Hey, Mike, what's going on?
What's happening?
Hey, 2 things, sort of with a Darnold question. How much is of the interceptions is receivers not running routes the right way?
Of those 3 picks, 1 was his fault.
Okay, 1. And do you like how they're bringing him along?
I think he's doing great. And I tell you, they had a million drops yesterday. He did not have a new eye yesterday, which really hurt him. Robbie Anderson's a jerk. I mean, so you got to straighten his act out. But I think Sam is doing really well. I think he's doing really well. He's ahead of schedule. I think he's doing great. And yesterday he put a couple of balls that were going for big distance on guys' hands, and they dropped them. I mean, they did not, and 2 of the 3 were not on him. One where it looked like he overthrew him. Guy cut the route off 2 yards short. The other one was a tip. The first one I thought was on him. Chris in Hicksville, what's up, Chris?
Hey, Mike. Yesterday morning I was kind of surprised and of course, saddened to see the passing of Charles Wong. And
I addressed it yesterday morning, but that doesn't. I know a lot of people don't hear that because it's on the app. But I was going to mention, I just didn't get around to it yet. I spent time on it yesterday morning. I knew Charles very well, and he was a good man. Listen, he had his heart in the right place with this team. He had only been to one hockey game when he bought the team. He bought the team because he thought it was a civic gesture on his part, and he had a lot of money. Now, he got hung up on stuff that was crazy, and I told him that, because I used to go up and sit with him upstairs. Like, if I was at the building, he'd call me up, and he'd say, come up and talk to me. So I'd go up and sit with him, and I was like, Charles, build an arena. Stop with this idea of building a 60 a story building with a light and ice skating rink and a pavilion. He wanted to build a structure that looked like Rockefeller Center that was his in the middle of Nassau, and they never had the money to build it. And instead, he never even got a building built. And he had the worst lease in the world, and he suffered under that lease. Told me once that he lost $20 million a year every year he owned the Islanders.
If it wasn't for him, I'll just say this: if it wasn't for him, I don't think it's as much of a reach. They wouldn't be here right now.
They would not have been here. They would have gone to Kansas City a long time ago, if I remember right. I think it was Kansas City. They would have been gone if it wasn't for him. There was no one else who would touch that lease. Spectrum had a lease that was a stranglehold on them. They couldn't make any money. He told me he lost $20 million a year for every year he owned the team. So he lost a lot of money with the Islanders. So give him credit for that. He
saved them, Mike. He saved the Islanders.
He did save them. He saved them. He absolutely saved them. No, hands down, he kept them here. So when you go to Belmont in a couple of years into a brand new building, you can thank Charles Wong, and there should be some mention of Wong in that building because he kept the Islanders on Long Island. He absolutely did. He absolutely did, and he should be honored for that. He absolutely kept them there. All right, he did, and he was actually a very he's a self-made man. I know he and his partner had some issues with the government and some stuff, which I know nothing about. But I know that his partner took the fall for that. But his computer associates, he built from the ground up. He came over from Shanghai and built himself he's a self-made man. Built up his business. Was a very outgoing guy, very nice guy. Actually, I don't know if this, I guess it's fairly well known that he and the Dolans are very close to each other on Long Island. I mean, they live in the same, very close, as a matter of fact. Doug in Long Island, what's up, Doug?
Hey, Mike, how are you, buddy?
What's happening?
There's so much that happened this weekend. I do want to talk about the Jets. I'll just throw two things in. One about Charles Wong. I'm a diehard Ranger fan. The Ranger Islander rivalry I grew up with, and it's my favorite thing, and I was always thankful for him because no doubt they wouldn't have been here.
No doubt.
And the other thing was, the Knicks, the Garden's rocking, against the Celtics. And here today I get on and I hear this thing about Dolan. It's like, it's bad news, just inevitable. We'll follow them.
Well, listen, this is a case where it's not really, all he had to do was just let it go. That's, and I blame his PR people for this because I think they bring it to him. And they give him advice, and I blame them. You blame him because he's the guy who makes the final judgment. He's the one that has to say go, no go. I mean, that's either we continue to, we ratchet it up or we let it go. I mean, one or the other. That's it's either he takes the fight or doesn't, and he took the fight to them. And listen, Intercom doesn't. They're new into New York. They're a company that's building something. They have big plans. Nationally. They're very involved in music across the country. They're very, they own hundreds of stations, and they don't want to fight with a guy who's got a million venues. They don't want to be at odds with him. Absolutely not. So he probably shook him up from that standpoint, and that's really what got the reaction. I think. Listen, I was not part of the strategy, so I can't tell you. I just was told the other day when I showed up at the station that they were apologizing, and that was it. That was their strategy. That was it. But they didn't take the strategy. They didn't take the apology. They kicked the fan in the teeth is what they did, which was a really classless, dumb reaction. Really was. And one that wasn't necessary. And nobody needs anything out of the Garden. I mean, I'll tell you, I can only speak for my show. I can't speak for the whole station. But if they don't give me any guess, I'm not going to lose any sleep about it. Colin in Marlboro. What's up, Colin?
Hey, Mike. Thanks for taking the call. I'm really, really proud Boilermaker today. We had a very, very special evening.
Yes, you did.
I was in the building on Saturday night,
Wow.
And I don't know if you heard the story of Tyler Trent, the special young gentleman that was speaking to the team before the game. And if you heard the story, you kind of knew something special was going to happen on a Saturday night. And my question was for you. They were almost 2 touchdown underdogs and won by 4 touchdowns.
Yep.
What was the biggest upset you've ever seen in live? And I just want another shout-out to the Boilermakers. We don't get to do this too often.
Congrats to Purdue on their win, 49-20 over Ohio State the other night. As Urban Meyer said, we were exposed. They were heavy on the dogs, Purdue. The Boilermakers haven't had a win like this in a long time. Biggest college football upset that I can remember. I'd have to think for a while. The biggest one, I have to kind of. I don't want to answer off the top of my head. I got to think for a couple minutes about that. What would be the biggest one? Joe in Massapequa Park. What's up, Joe?
Hey, Mike. Good afternoon.
What's happening?
I also heard from a buddy of mine about the Jacksonville thing that you mentioned, that they're looking to a veteran quarterback.
Well, you know someone who works at Jacksonville?
Well, no. A buddy of mine is a big Jaguar fan. We were just talking about that.
Well, I can tell you that that doesn't mean they're coming to Eli. I'm not saying that. Okay, everyone's going to jump the gun and think it's Eli Manning. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that they are investigating. They haven't even named the quarterback for this week yet. Go ahead. What's up?
But since Coughlin is there, and let's say they do look into Eli, I mean, what can they get in return?
Again, they wouldn't get anything. They would get. This would be a salary dump. They would not be anything. There would be nothing of value involved in the trade. That's for sure. They would not be getting anything back of any real value. That's for sure. No one would expect that. I'm not saying that's happening. I'm not saying that's happening. But Kessler isn't the answer. That's for sure. And that team has been completely, from what I understand, they have a huge offense-defense problem now on that team, which can happen. But that defense thinks very highly of itself. Plus, it's got a couple of guys on there, led by one, as we all know, who can't keep his mouth closed. So that is, very easy for that to become a problem. And when they see the offense, fumble the ball on the 5-yard line a couple of times, and then they get pinned that way, he's going to talk. The certain guys it's never going to be about them, so they're going to make sure everyone knows it's not about them. Frank in Smithtown, what's up, Frank?
Yeah, hi, Mike. How you doing?
Yes,
huge Chiefs fan, and blown away so far this year by just the success overall, the amount of points they're putting up a game, and the defense is a little suspect. But do you think their offense can sustain what they're doing?
Yes.
And how far do you think that they can go this year?
They're going to have to play defense at some level here. I worry about their offensive line a little bit. That's the only thing I worry about. The offense skill position, the skill positions are as perfectly crafted as skill positions can be. They have created a two-man, really a three-pronged attack that no defense can answer. And it allows him in essence, a Hunt, number 10, Hill, and Kelsey. Those three, the quarterback, when he reads and what they run, it is built on those three, and it is impossible right now because of the way Hill stretches the defense with his speed and utilizing the other guys that they have who are also very quick receivers, but nothing like Hill. They now create a situation where the way they run Hill, you're going to drag so much attention to him, and the drop that they have to take in the secondary not to be embarrassed by the speed makes it so easy so that anytime on a passing down, the quarterback has the ability, once he vacates the pocket, he can always run for 10 or 15 yards because they drive the secondary so deep that it means Kelsey's free underneath all the time. Hunt comes out and gets himself a mismatch every time. And Mahomes has the ability to run 15 yards down the field anytime he wants. It is right now, with those people, an unstoppable offense. You have to get to the quarterback. And you're going to see people who are they're going to be two ways they're going to try and go with him. One, they're going to try and go with him where they're going to say, we're going to pin him in the pocket. And the other way is going to be A-gap, just like the old Tom Brady, A-gap, up the A-gap, otherwise you can't get him. Their offensive line is good. It's not great. Their skill position people are otherworldly, and Kelsey's unbelievable. So they have a great running back, a great tight end, a all-world explosive wide receiver who you cannot overthrow. And you cannot overthrow him. With his arm, he underthrew him by 15 yards yesterday in the second half. He cannot be on. Then he hit him perfectly, and he dropped it, which he doesn't usually drop those. But they are unbelievably hard to defend because, and Andy has it set up so well, and it's so set up so perfectly with the mobility of the quarterback and his trigger and the other people, where you run Kelsey underneath, Hunt's ability on the run and the pass, and then the slant to Hill. It's almost unstoppable. Jeff in North Brunswick, what's up, Jeff?
Hey, Mike. I just wanted to talk. I just got in my car. I don't know if you talked about it at all, but
what's that?
I don't understand what the Cowboys are thinking.
That was
giving
up
the first.
Yeah, it was a bad move.
Oh my God! You know why? It's a bad move, and you and I have talked about this many, many times. The problem is not the receiving core; it's the quarterback. He is he's a game manager. I mean, when you watch him, even Alan Hearns, he doesn't even give him an opportunity.
I actually think, to be fair, and I've been very hard on him his whole life, I actually thought the last couple of games he was showing a little better touch with the ball. I have to admit. Now, he's not a good thrower. But this move, I would have taken Cooper at the right price. I would never have given up a number one for him, ever. He's been an underachiever his whole life. He really has. That was one way. You got a little fleeced. Anthony in Westbury. What's up, Anthony?
Hey, Mike. I just want to say that the Amari Cooper trade makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah, it's not.
He's making $7 million this year. It jumps to $14 million next year, and then he's an unrestricted free agent where you have to give him a huge payday.
Well, they're looking short term with him.
Remember the Roy Williams trade? It reminds me of how they gave up a 1, a 3, a 6, a 7, but for Roy Williams to Detroit a few years ago,
and who never
made any sense.
Right, and Amari Cooper has underachieved his whole life. He has been an underachieving player his entire life. No question about it. Absolutely no question about it. All right, we'll be back after this.